So Bates, Gussenberg, and Kemp are here, and Solana was assistant superintendent?
Yes.
DOE, thank you. Okay,
Oh, we do the pledge.
yeah, where's the flag? That's over here. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, so our first order of business is to select a chair.
I nominate Rich.
I second that nomination.
It's a setup.
I can't chair it, I already.
Oh, you've got
You
it.
already have a
so
chair.
You're fine.
So Jen will get her turn if you take this one. There'll be enough time, so
I'm sure there'll be plenty.
There'll be other chances.
All right, so there's Rich.
Okay.
He'll be the chair of
And
this
you have to
step.
vote on that? It's unanimous, right?
It's unanimous.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
So you're moving right along. All right. I have to stop talking now, it's all you.
Okay, now that I'm the chair.
Now that you're the chair, I'm gonna stop talking.
We have one other item on the agenda, discussion of the structure, content, scheduling for input session for our meetings at each of the schools. So I don't know if you've been brought up to date.
Maybe
But-
just a refresher would be helpful to
Okay.
make sure that I'm
What-
on the same page.
What the School Modernization Committee would like to do is to make sure that we're getting full input from each of the staffs at each of the schools. So they would like us to schedule a meeting after school at each of the schools, each of the school buildings. Send out an invitation to all staff, making sure it's not just to the teachers, but custodians, kitchen staff, and others. And to have some sort of a structure for gathering input and then returning back to the full committee with a report about here's what the staff said at each of the buildings.
Okay.
So that's what we're up to right now, is just, we want to structure that, how would we lay that out, and then we're going to ask you or somebody from central office to schedule out those meetings for us.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah,
Okay?
I think that sounds good. I think it sounds good, and I'm assuming, hoping that we'll start to hear some common themes, across the board, so.
I do have one question. Is there, are we required to do it after school? Or would it be beneficial for us to perhaps, I don't know, camp out in the library during lunch waves and allow teachers to come pop in and give us feedback?
Well, the only thing
during
is,
that
I
time?
know that they really wanted a record of everything that we do.
Mm.
Now, I guess there's nothing that would stop us from informally going into one of the buildings and, with the principal and walking and talking to some people or whatever, but I think they want something that's more formal than that. That could be, there could be minutes, there could be a video,
There will have
that
to be
becomes,
minutes.
right,
Okay.
that becomes part of
Then-
a formal
okay.
record.
And I don't know, Cornelia, if you have thoughts on, the idea was we wanted to make it convenient for the staff and
Yeah.
teachers, so they're not
Yeah.
coming here at 7 o'clock at night after,
Right.
so.
Right.
Assuming that's right after the school day, but if you feel differently,
No, I was just thinking about that, especially about, cafeteria staff and those kinds of things. I think if we
They're
did
not
it,
necessarily-
right after dismissal, I think we'd have a good chance of at least having the cafeteria manager maybe attend, or, getting more people if we had it right after.
Yeah, I think, I'm sure you both know, I was a principal for many years. Staff, for the most part, is not gonna wanna have to come back at
Right.
7
Right.
o'clock at night
Right.
to do this. Depending on some of the schools, I know, when we had a later opening, sometimes we would run meetings before school.
Right,
I
some of
don't
the
know
later
if-
schools, that might work really
Yeah,
well.
I don't know if that's done in Cheshire or not, but,
Yeah.
but, I think if we do it at a time that's very convenient to
Yeah.
the staffs, that would be the best thing for us.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Right.
So I think the key thing is for us to kind of lay out a procedure.
Yep.
And, and I was just looking, this is nothing, but I had said, that if we came in and we took a few minutes just to go over the purposes and procedures of the School Modernization Committee, introduce each of the members, and then go through and talk about the purpose of the meeting. And I had in here, to go through the positives and negatives of the present facility, input on the classrooms, on the core facilities, such as the library media center, the gym, the cafeteria, the music room, the art room, input on special ed facilities, such as resource rooms, PTOT spaces, things like that. Other issues such as parking, playgrounds, feedback on grade level organization. I didn't know if we wanted to go there or not, but I know since it's such a hot topic, to talk to the elementary and middle school staff in particular about some of the possibilities, K through 5 versus K through 6, an intermediate school, a 5-6 school versus 6-8, you know, things like that, just to get some sense of, you know, what the staff's gut feeling is on some of those issues. Now, you know, realistically, you're only going to get those people who want to come to the meeting, who want to stand up and speak, so it may not be representative of the feelings of the whole staff, but at least, you know, everybody would have an opportunity to go on the record, and then we can bring that back to the whole committee. So,
If we could give them some questions to consider before the meeting, I think that would give people
it's
a good opportunity to think it through beforehand and give it some meaningful, you know, contemplation before they show up and then are asked on the spot. So that might.
you know,
And they also may be able to talk to coworkers if someone can't attend.
Right.
They may be able to bring back questions from their
Yeah.
teammates or something.
I mean, I think what you outlined, Rich, sounds good. I outlined something somewhat similar. You had a little bit more questions on there, but I had kind of the same thought process, you know, overview of role of the, you know, school modernization committee, purpose of our meeting with them, and then just like you said, challenges due to the physical plant that they're currently working in, what they feel they need better to, you know, need to better serve students in the future, and then anything that they do like about the schools that they don't want to lose in the process. You know what I mean?
and I thought that was important. I don't
Yeah.
think we should go in there
Yeah.
with the assumption that,
Right.
you know,
They're not all getting 8 new
we're in
buildings,
dire straits, you know.
so we need to at least try to.
Yeah, and I know that, you know, some of the schools, even if the buildings are older, they've developed a culture
Right.
that they really are very positive about and that they don't want to lose.
Right, so how do we enhance
And-
it?
Right, and
Yeah.
I know that's come up as there's been discussion about closing certain schools, things like that.
Redistricting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it's important, I got a feeling the teachers would let us know that anyway, but, you know, I think that it's important that we hear that and bring that back to the whole committee.
Yeah, agree.
And I know Mr. Solon had mentioned that there's a good push from above that the teachers are encouraged to speak their mind and not feel any sort of retribution.
Oh, yeah.
And make sure, like, I just want to make sure the principals kind of communicate that to them as well.
Yeah.
And will there be administrators at these meetings? And should they be, or maybe shouldn't they be, if
I mean, I
the
think
teachers
that
feel more
administrators
comfortable?
would like to have their voices
Yeah, I
heard
think
too.
Yeah.
But I think this is, I don't see this as any kind of contentious
Okay.
in nature. I think everyone's really excited to
I'll make sure
be
they're
able to
comfortable,
have the
yeah.
opportunity to share what they think. I think it's gonna be really, really well received
Good.
And I think-
everywhere.
Yeah, I think it is important here from administrators as well, and I think as long as staff know that this, we're talking about literally the brick and mortars of, you know, it's not the way things are run, like, we don't want, you know, it's not a
Yeah.
gripe session about the way things are run or things they do or don't like about their jobs, it's really, you know, the physical structures that
Yeah,
they're
I don't
working
see
in, what
this as
they
being a
need.
contentious
Yeah.
issue,
Yeah.
although the administrators are going to have a lot of input when they take us on the tours. We saw that at
Yeah,
Dodd,
that's
you
true.
know, a couple of
That's
weeks
true.
ago. We had, what, an hour and a
Yeah,
half
with-
to hear from the principal and
Principal.
assistant
That's true.
principal as they took us through the building and then as they talked to the whole committee afterwards. So, you know, they will have plenty of input.
Right, that's true, and maybe the administrators will make that decision on their own,
Yeah,
knowing that they're seeing all of us at those meetings, that maybe they'll
Right.
feel, I should be there or I shouldn't be there.
The other thing too is there could be things that maybe, you know, there's not a new building for that school, but maybe it's something that they take into consideration for future plans, just in general, either capital or, you know, summer projects,
Right.
that if they hear those things from their staff, that they would, you know, make a plan to change things. But I appreciate the comment though, because I think that's good to consider.
I want to make sure they're all comfortable and
Yeah, yeah.
we get all the information we need. And the pros as well, I think that's very important to talk about
Yeah.
the good things that are working too. Make sure it's not just all
Right.
negatives.
Right.
now, you know, I know in some cases, you know, we have maybe music teachers or librarians who haven't been out and about, and they may say, you know, my facility is fine until they saw some other facilities. So, you know, we need to be clear that we're gathering input based on their world and what
Right.
they know and what, you know, seems to work for them right now.
Yeah.
But for instance, elementary media centers, I've seen, a converted classroom up to a 3,000 square foot multimedia center.
We don't have any of those.
Would you like one?
Yes,
Maybe not quite that high, but it's on the wish list.
But I know, and we have to be honest with people, that there's not the money out there to do a lot of pie in the sky kind of stuff, but we do want to know what's holding back their instructional program right now,
Yeah.
what we can do as part of our planning to ensure that we enhance that.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my bugaboos, which I've mentioned before, is I've been involved with some other construction projects, and there's usually a sense of, gee, we need 3 more classrooms, let's add on 3 more classrooms. And people don't look and say, well, can I accommodate that in the lunchroom?
Right.
Do we have the gym, the art, the music, the PE space, to handle these extra classrooms? They just put on the rooms without ever doing anything with the core
Right,
facilities.
that's what would be good to have cafeteria staff and,
Yeah.
Custodial.
custodial
Yeah.
librarians.
I think you'll get a lot of really good information, because people know, what they would need. I'm thinking specifically of an art teacher talking to me about, I don't have the place to store the clay, I don't have the
Mhm.
place to store the finished products. The kiln is 2 hallways away, and I have to rely on someone else to, turn it on and off for me. And there's, a lot of those kinds of things
Just,
that,
oh,
the principal
Just-
might not know unless
Right.
the teacher shared that. So,
Right. Right.
it's, I think it'll be really
Yeah,
beneficial.
and teachers are very creative at making things work.
Absolutely.
And-
They do a
Teacher-
really
our
good
teachers
job
are.
of that.
Yeah,
Teachers
so
are.
we
Yeah.
want to make sure that, as we're looking ahead for plans, if we're looking ahead to do renovations of buildings, that we've got some of that as part of our planning. So,
Great.
and a lot of that, I assume, would come through the architects. The other piece, I think, and I think we're pretty much handicap accessible right now, but that is something that to me is near and dear to my
Understood.
heart, that I want to make
I'm
sure
not
that these
not
buildings
Chapman.
are.
Actually, sure, I was gonna say Chapman.
Yeah, no.
Chapman is not handicapped?
No.
Okay. I know that Darcy was not when we walked through there. There were
Right.
multiple staircases in places. I know when we went through Dodd, the PTOT room was up on the stage in the back, and it was pointed out to me, there was a little lift off to the side of the stage, but it's ironic that a physical therapy area would be an area that's probably
Not
most
accessible.
difficult to get to.
Yeah.
No, Humiston is not, Chapman is not, Darcy is not.
Yeah, so those are things to me that are very, very important.
I agree.
I think that sounds good from a structure standpoint.
So if you would like, I would be glad to take this, write it up as a, here are the questions,
Yep.
here's the procedure, and then I can either work with you or work
Yeah.
with Jeff in
I think I'll
terms
be on
of
point for
getting,
this one,
getting a
so we can
schedule
work
out.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
What does your schedule look like if we're gonna do things
Talking
after
about
school?
like so
We were
the
gonna
early
set up
schools, it's like
after-school meetings.
2:30.
Yeah, we would have the opportunity, I know Norton sometimes holds meetings before school, and I know that Highland might be able to accommodate that as
Yeah.
well.
That, before would work for me, I can make that work probably on almost any day, just with a little bit of pre-planning. And then afternoons, I'll need some advance notice on afternoons, with the exception of Wednesdays or Fridays, and Fridays might not be the best day to ask teachers and staff
I don't
to
think we
say.
wanna do a Friday
So probably not a
afternoon.
Friday, but Wednesday for me
Um,
personally is like a day like I can make it at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon any week.
So you guys are looking at what days now?
Well, we're
don't-
just talking about days and times, not specific
No,
dates.
I know, not specific dates, but I just want to put it in.
Yeah, so I'm saying for me personally,
Yeah.
I can do any Wednesday afternoon, and I could probably do any morning.
Okay,
And I could do other days in the afternoon, I couldn't say yes to those days right now, I just didn't plan it.
Mornings are tough for me. I
Okay.
could only do Mondays. If we do
Monday mornings.
Monday morning.
Okay.
Afternoons are much more flexible. I could probably do any day except Tuesdays. And we talked about Fridays. Fridays I could do, but not until like 3:15.
Yeah, I don't think we would try to do a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be well received.
No.
No, I don't think,
They want
No.
home.
we want the teachers to be excited about
I
this,
don't like to
you
stay
know.
late on a Friday afternoon at work.
You know, I'm semi-retired, so with some advance notice, I'm pretty flexible. I can work out most afternoons or mornings, either way. So, you know, I have some consultant work that I'm doing.
So Rich, you can do
Work
most
around.
mornings and afternoons?
Yeah, with some advance notice.
With
yeah.
advance notice.
We'll definitely give you, make sure everybody can see it ahead of time before we commit to anything, but we could get that going right away. When would you like, when are you ready to do this?
I would like to move it ahead as quickly as we can.
All right,
Yeah,
perfect.
absolutely.
And I'm assuming once we go to all the schools, we'll then want to put it together in
Yes.
some form
Yep,
of a
to bring it
report.
back to the bigger
So
group.
if we have some kind of categories that we can be taking notes on,
Yep, sure.
then when we come back out again, we can lay out a graphic or whatever, you know, that here's
Yep.
some of the issues that we've identified.
I can help work on that.
Okay.
You know, maybe as we're going through this, and I could share it with you all and see what would work.
And we're visiting all the schools, elementary, Darcy, Dodd, high school, and Thomaston.
All 8.
Yep, all 8.
Yeah. Now, you don't have many staff at Humiston.
Probably have about 20.
Are there that many there?
Yeah, we've got a couple technology people. We've kind of moved some people from buildings in and thinking, let's see, 1, 2.
And the alt ed,
Let me count.
uh,
1, 2, 3. 22 to 24.
Okay. Well, that's surprising to me, okay.
Yeah.
And do you have other type of support staff, like custodians or anything like that there that would be
There's
interested?
custodian there, yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We'll see
we
them
will
all.
need 8 meetings. I'm a little bit concerned about the size of the high school. You've got a huge staff there and,
Mhm.
you know, how
Break it into
we
2.
can, how we can structure that meeting so that it's not overwhelming.
Yeah. Let me talk to Mary. Maybe we do 2 days there, or maybe we filter it. I don't want to really filter it through department leaders, but
Parts of the building, maybe?
yeah, or maybe we want to do teachers and then do
Other
support.
staff.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
we can maybe hold it back to back.
Well, let's give some thought to that. I just think
Yeah.
that, you know, if we invite the entire high school staff, and if...
They all want to talk to
And
us.
if a majority
Here
of
all
them
night.
show up,
Which is
I
a
mean,
good thing.
you know,
It's a good thing.
we'd need the auditorium and, you know,
Yeah.
could we really give
Right.
people an opportunity to say much of anything?
That probably shouldn't be a morning meeting.
No.
not a
Well, not at the
7:30
high
start.
school, not unless you want to
Not-
start at 5:30 in the morning.
First of all, CHS.
That's a whole separate issue, what time the high school starts.
Do we want to talk about school start times in this, or that's not really part of our,
No.
yeah,
No,
okay,
No.
agreed.
that's,
No, not ours.
that's a curriculum
Yeah, it's not ours.
issue, not for us, and gets into busing and all
So-
kinds of other things.
To that point, what happens if someone brings up a topic that really isn't covered
We can
in our
just-
thing?
We
Just
can just say it. You know,
Yeah.
that's a, you know,
great point.
appreciate that point. The purpose of this group in particular is our facilities. You know, we are working on a modernization plan of our school buildings.
How you use them after
That's
they're
gonna be,
built.
that's gonna be a board, once the buildings are there, once the plan is done, it all goes to the Board of Ed and Town Council. I mean, we're not even gonna be involved in
Yeah,
right.
the
Well, that's why, you know,
phases out of it, so.
I think in our introduction, we need kind of a set script that
Yeah.
we go through
Mm-hmm.
that says, you know, here's what the School Modernization Committee is all about, here's what this subgroup is all about,
Yeah.
here's the data we're collecting, here's how we're gonna use it, so that at
Yeah.
least, you know, that's clear.
And that
So
can
if
be-
they wanna get into a discussion about, now, in some cases, you know, you may very well hear special ed teachers talking about, you know, an inclusion program versus a resource program. What kind of space do I need to do each one?
Right.
Because the space needs would be very different. So you run into things like that where the program and the facilities overlap.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah,
we can
make note of it.
make note of it. That's all we can do.
And,
It's
and
not
that's
our-
really our purpose of this, is just to make note of all these concerns. We're not answering questions at this point, we're just taking in data, and we'll be recording it.
Part of the process.
Yeah, we don't really have a whole lot that we could answer,
Right.
you know,
Right.
we.
We don't have
Yeah.
a plan yet.
We don't
There's
have-
This is all the process
have
to
no
get to a
answers
plan.
Make a note of that,
This
no
is the
answers
input,
from
this
this
is
committee.
the input to get to plan,
Yeah,
to
this
various
is,
plans.
this is so that at least once the committee comes out with a plan, we can say, that every teacher in the district, every staff member in the
Yeah.
district had an opportunity to express any issues
Yeah.
or concerns that they may have had.
And that the plan addresses the majority of
Right.
their issues.
I would hope so. I'd hope that,
Right.
you know, we would report this back to the full committee, and as the committee develops a plan, that they take this,
Look at that
keep this
list
in
of
mind.
things, yeah, okay.
So, you know, if they decided to bypass certain facilities completely, if for money reasons or whatever, and we know that there are serious concerns in those buildings, you know,
Right.
that would not be appropriate, so we hope that would come up. Hi, Jamie.
Right, agreed. Can we have a statement, I mean, we can send it out as far as questions that go.
I
in
have a
advance.
question for you though. Are you planning, is the plan or the goal to have all of these staff meetings taped and minutes
No,
taken or not? Or you just,
I believe we do
you're
need
just gonna-
minutes. My understanding from Arnett is that we need minutes, but they do not need to be videotaped.
okay. So
So we
You'll
will work
have to
with,
let
yep, we'll
me
work
know.
with Arnett, yep,
I'll have to have that scheduled
yep,
as
absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to
No,
make sure.
absolutely,
Okay.
good.
Well, I know we do have a couple members of the committee that have felt as much as we can possibly video and make available to the public, the better off we are.
That's a
But
daunting
That's a big
task.
task.
that's a daunting task, and I don't know how many people are actually going to
Yeah.
take a look at those videos or spend some time with it. We'll have written minutes, but,
Yeah.
you know, we can run that by the full committee on the 3rd. And
Yeah, like I said
see
though,
what they
in
think.
terms of procedurally, we're required to have minutes, we are not required to be videotaped.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether we want to have
Whether we want it,
videotape or
right.
not.
Whether that's feasible is a different story,
Who wants to
right.
run from building to building every afternoon, I don't know
Is
whether
it
that's a
just the 5
possibility.
of us on this subcommittee, or are there any other
Yes, but
members?
any member of the bit larger
Can
school
attend,
could
yeah,
attend, they'll
yeah.
be made aware of when they're happening,
Perfect.
so they may attend as well.
Are they open to the public?
They're, I guess they would be open to the public, but not for public comment,
Right.
Okay.
right? So, yeah, I guess that would be the only question I guess I'd have on that is I don't know if there's a school security issue, depending on if we get a lot of people from the public trying to come into the building
That
right
was-
at the
that
end of the
was
school
raised-
day,
that
so
was
I don't
raised,
know
yeah.
if they should be open to the public.
Well, there's a procedure for people coming
Yeah,
into
for
the school
visitors.
and, you know,
They
for
would have to
visitors.
sign in and-
The only question I'd have if, let's say, PTO president from the school wanted to be there and make a comment about facility, they bring a different perspective.
Yeah.
I don't know what-
I
it's
think
something to
that-
think
yeah,
about.
I think that person belongs at the public comment, not the staff. I mean, I think they can be there, but I'm just saying in terms of providing input, I would still see that more as a public
Yeah.
input than a
We keep
staff.
this to
So,
staff.
but we're not having a public comment section?
But we will. I mean, we haven't,
Later.
later in the process,
okay.
we will. Once
Not
we-
at those meetings?
Not
though?
at those meetings, no, no, that's what I mean. So the public could come and observe that, but the input is, the purpose is to get input from staff. So like the public can observe any of these meetings, but we'd be just looking at staff input. And then obviously the public can come to any one of our existing meetings, regular committee meetings for comments, but we will do specific public input sessions further down in this process when we potentially have 2-3 scenarios that we wanna get feedback on before we.
And the minutes that we're taking are gonna take, that's a record of everyone's comments, and that's what we'll use going forward when we're
Correct.
addressing things.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know how detailed, I mean, if you
I don't
got,
know, that could be,
It's a lot.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be a lot.
We
We
have
will
a
all
recording sheet, and we're
Well,
able to do that.
I have a recorder, I will record everything.
Yeah, but no,
Yeah.
but you're not gonna take
We're not gonna
copious notes. I
capture
mean, we went
right.
into the high school, you could have
Yeah.
Oh, I
50
know.
or 60 people stand up and
I-
make
What I
comments.
would
That's the
do
purpose
is
of my question is
summarize.
just
Just
take
highlight
notes.
and summarize the comments what were made, not by, Mary Jones, science teacher,
Right.
whatever, just,
Right.
Right,
I mean, I think as part of being on this subcommittee, I think we all should take notes as we hear things that we think are
that's a
the
good
kinds
point.
of things that we should, like I said, I'm assuming we're gonna start to hear some common themes when we're in buildings, so I think we should also take notes. I think it's on us to make sure we come away with that, in addition to the minutes that Marilyn does and have an understanding of. I would hope we walk out of any one of those school buildings and can come up with the top issues, like, there could be,
Right.
50 things that are brought up, but hopefully there's like, the really big pain
Yeah.
points are X, Y, and Z, I would hope. I don't know.
Well, I mean, when we went through Dodd the other day,
Yeah, there's
there were
clear
4 or
pain
5
points.
things
Yeah.
that really hit
Well,
you.
did you read the minutes that I
Yes.
sent from Dodd? So
Yes.
that they basically cover the structure of the minutes that you would want. We went through the lobby and the
Yes.
special ed room and the cafeteria and
Right.
whatever.
We talked about the windows, we talked
Yep.
about the
Exactly,
roof,
so
we
those
talked
were
about
okay.
the
Those were perfect.
airflow, we
Okay.
talked about
They were
certain
very thorough.
facilities, the cafeteria not being large enough to accommodate,
Right, right.
you know,
A
all of
fourth,
those.
fifth lunch wave and that
Right.
kind of
We
stuff.
did have a good tour. We did have
Yes.
a good
Yeah, it was-
those are the highlights.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. I think we're going to, I think it's great to get, I think we need to hear it, and I think the teachers and other staff, like I said, the cafeteria, like we talked about the size, but you know, there are challenges that no one other than the staff behind the counter trying to serve those
right.
kids before their lunch period is over can tell us. So I think, you know, hopefully that will come away with those kind of themes for each area. You know, I would assume a lot of the teachers may have similar things, and you know, like each kind of sector within the schools probably.
And you
have
will hear
similar
things like
things.
storage, you know.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Kindergarten teachers, you can't give them enough storage room, you know, I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
that's just
and
part of what
storage.
comes up all the time.
Right.
You know,
Bookcases up against the heaters and how that, all
Yeah.
yeah,
those
the
things.
heat in the room,
Yeah.
the lights in the room, you know, those kinds of
There's a big
things.
deal.
Maybe some of the facilities, if, like at the middle school, we were talking about, you've got teams, but it wasn't designed for teams, you know, so you
Right.
have classrooms down a long hallway, making it more difficult for people to interact and work as a team. Some buildings are built in pods so that you
Right.
have all 4 or 5 classrooms with a common space that can work as a team. So sometimes the facility, we work around the facility, we're obviously making it work because our kids are learning well. But if you were gonna go in and build something new or do major renovations, there may be things that you would do with the spaces to better accommodate the program as it is now versus 1950s when the school was built.
Well said.
Anything else?
Good. No, I think that's a good plan.
Let's have one more meeting before, it's just make sure we can clean up what we're gonna say, what we're gonna do, and then in the meantime, we can
Yeah.
set up a schedule, so.
Yeah, that works for me.
You're doing great. Keep moving.
25 minutes,
We're
so
gonna be out of here in half an hour.
They'll be happy up until.
we'll get you out of here
the
well before
Oh,
that
that's
45
fine.
minutes is up.
That's okay, no
You
problem.
might actually get a break.
A little bit.
All right, what looks good to people?
How long do you need before we meet again?
I wouldn't think very long. I mean, I wanna take
just
what
said-
we have here and just kind of, I wanna write up like a script that we
I'll let you know that if you did not want to meet in the evening like this, if you wanted to meet during the day, I'm fairly available. I'm very,
Well, that works for me, okay.
yeah, I mean,
works for
just
me,
so you
fine.
don't have to go out, you know what I'm saying? I know
Yeah.
you all have families and things like that, so my
yeah, depends
schedule
on
is
the day.
flexible for,
Well, you said Wednesday afternoons
Wednesdays are
work for
good,
you?
yeah, like I can do Wednesday, even Wednesday morning, but, you know, I mean, I can do any time during a Wednesday usually.
We wanna wait a full week though? We'll do it earlier if we wanna try to schedule these meetings.
I think a full week to make sure that I can get all of these
yeah,
people.
you've got a lot to
and-
get done.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're not gonna meet again until we have everything scheduled with you?
No, I think we could meet, but I wouldn't think that I can have all this ready for you
Right,
in less
no.
than 5 days.
Okay.
Right.
So if we looked at Wednesday afternoon, the 29th, does that work for people?
I could do anytime after 2. Actually, at 2 would be fine.
I
I
could
could
do
do
that.
at 2.
Do
I have
that.
another meeting at 3, but,
That should be good.
okay.
Well,
Where would
so
be a-
far our record, an hour would be more than
I
enough.
like
And
it.
that will get us a room.
I was gonna say if you wanna do it somewhere convenient for your next meeting.
We're certainly welcome to use the boardroom in Humiston. And that's
That
where
might
my
make it
next
easier for
meeting
you.
is, so it would keep us.
It's fine with me.
Is
If,
that okay?
Oh, yeah, I've taken minutes up there.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, boardroom
Alright,
at
so
2
2
o'clock on
o'clock
Wednesday the
boardroom.
29th.
2
Okay.
o'clock at the Board of Education, boardroom, okay. And I've been turning the minutes into the town manager's office to Arnett,
Yes.
so she's putting them on the website, so
Yes.
if, I don't know, I'm assuming they're out there.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
Well, I haven't
absolutely.
looked on the website,
But
but
they are, yeah.
we've been getting
And then she
them.
distributes them.
Yeah,
as
we've
well.
been
Yeah, I
getting
send them to you, yeah, they
Yes.
come from me, yeah.
And then in a couple of cases, Arnett also sent them.
Oh, did she
Yeah.
send them to, oh, I
And I
so
didn't
think
know
we've
that
that.
they are being posted.
Yeah, okay.
All right, anything else? Any comments from the public?
I wouldn't want to start a precedent.
No, that's, Rich can have public comments at these meetings, the
Yeah,
committee
that's okay.
meetings, the subcommittee meetings.
Yeah, that's
Fine.
different.
That's
It's
different.
different from the school meetings.
Oh, I thought that's what you were referring
No,
to.
We're talking
we're for-
when we go into the schools themselves, those meetings are to get staff input. So we didn't want to, create a situation
But
where.
public input at the subcommittee meeting is
Right,
welcome.
but this is a public meeting and you're always welcome to give us some input.
I think the only thing I wanted to make sure is that the teachers had an opportunity to also maybe share privately, like a pathway to, maybe if it's during their, like, lunch hour, I think kind of their break room or lunchroom or whatever can kind of be like a little sanctuary, sort of, where there's not a lot of administrators going in and out, and if there was just another avenue of who they knew to contact to say, well, there's one more,
Well, we
they
could
wanna
give,
say how
we could
bad
give
this
them
room
some contact
smells in public.
information.
It sounded bad saying something about that, you don't know what people's comfort
We can-
factor is for saying things that they deem to be not
We
in a
can
positive way.
we can provide them with an email address, the school modernization committee has an email address, and if
Good
someone
idea.
wants to speak more privately, they can send a note, they don't even have to put in writing if they don't feel comfortable doing that. They can send us a note at the email address, and
Yeah.
then that would be funneled.
And I would have
to
no
us.
problem giving out my phone number and if somebody just wanted to call and talk, and that would have to be reported out at the next meeting. But we don't have to use names if we don't want. Although, as we said earlier, I think it was before you came in, this isn't the type of meeting or the type of situation where people should feel hesitant to comment. You're not talking about staff members or criticism of programs or anything. You're talking about facilities and what their need is in order to run the program well. Now, you may have some people out there that are very frustrated over some program issues and want to, express that in some way, so that would be fine. I know Tony said when they did the thing a couple of years ago, that he did hear from some individuals privately with some issues, so I have no problem with making that avenue available.
Yeah, however you get all the information you need to make a good decision. is all.
And I also will just mention too, I don't know if anyone's aware, but we have regular meetings at each building for things like a stinky, smelly room. So if you have an air quality issue, if there are ants that you're seeing, if there's anything that you deem to feel not healthy or not clean enough, or any of those types of
That's good to
things,
know.
you bring it to that meeting, and the principal is there along with or someone who keeps notes, along with Rich Clavette and some maintenance staff, and those things are always
Continually being addressed.
yeah,
and updated.
continually bring address, and people are very comfortable bringing them up, and we address them as best we
Probably,
can.
but
So
no one's looking or viewing it, so that's where I think sometimes
Yeah.
people can be hesitant to say something if it's not
Right.
deemed positive, and then it's broadcast or put in the paper, and it makes sometimes, some people aren't comfortable.
With your emails, check with Arnett, all of your emails, because
Are
you're a
public
subcommittee.
information.
They're public information on the FOI.
That's
Well,
what I'm
that's why
saying,
you were
we
gonna
use the
use
school
the-
modernization committee email.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm
That's what I'm
suggesting,
saying.
That
yeah.
one only, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's,
We're not
that
gonna
would be
have any
the
other
email.
email.
Yep, and Arnett gets that and forwards it as
Yeah.
appropriate.
Okay, any other
Agreed.
comments? All right, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all those in favor? There we
Alright.
go.
Good meeting.
and then I will
At,
see.